Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel for another Game Week 14 preview. Today I'm joined by Wes, FPL Heisenberg, ahead of a big Game Week 14 with a lot of decisions to be made. Wes, first of all, good to chat to you again. Obviously missed last Game Week, but we are back and you're on a green arrow. It's good to see.
Yeah, it does feel nicer, but it's a very minor green arrow. It's almost a grey arrow. But we'll take it, won't we? 48 points. Yeah, I think that was pretty much just about enough to get me to scrape me a green arrow in a bit of a weird game. It wasn't in terms of, I think everyone looked at their team on paper and thought, oh, like didn't look good. It was, for me, it was the likes of Salah and Haaland playing against each other. I had Palmer versus Shah, things like that. So I was expecting a low scoring week, which it was. So I was happy to come out of it, get that game week out of the way with a minor green, really.
Yeah, and to be fair, it probably could have been more. I mean, I look at this team as someone that doesn't own Watkins, and I don't know how he only got 5 points in that game. After scoring the goal, he was on for 2 bonus and then missed the big chance and then got the yellow as well. Very fortunate for me personally with how highly owned he is. Also, Cash and Diaby, who I own as well, coming off at half time. Very, very tough. It's going to be interesting to see your thoughts on those players in particular. But yeah, overall, small green arrow, but the arrow is green.
So we can't grumble.
And that's what matters. But tell the people, transfer plans right now. How many free transfers do you have?
I have 2 free transfers. And this week I'm very clear about the players I want to remove and the players I want to get. But it's whether I do all 3 of the moves I want this week for -4, or whether I stagger them over this week and next week, save the points it, and potentially not bring in a player before a tricky fixture. It's a difficult one to know. And if things like price changes force my hand as well. So something I was considering before the Alisson injury to free up money was to lose Matty Cash. But I think now I won't touch my defence. I might even bench Cash for the foreseeable. He's just been frustrating. Even though it's Bournemouth away, I might play someone else. I've not decided yet. He was going to be a make weight to make some cash. So I was looking at players like Maguire. But now with the potential injury to Alisson, now I'm a bit sketchy about committing to this without proper injury news. We're hearing rumours of sort of 5 weeks, 6 weeks, that sort of thing, which means calendar weeks, I should say, which probably means in FPL terms 6 or 7 game weeks. So I've got money tied up in my keepers with Leno, I can sell him for 4.6 down to Kelleher. That frees up 0.7, which allows Son to along with Alvarez down to the likes of a Semenyo or an Archer, would allow me to go Diaby all the way up to Son. And it's interesting, actually. My midfield target this week, or either this week or next, is Diaby out for either Son or Bowen. But those 2 actually fell in price overnight, just before we recorded this one. So yeah, they're actually people are transferring those 2 out, but I actually like either of those to come into my team, assuming Bowen's, this is all with if Bowen's going to be fine injury wise, which we don't know right now. I think Son is my number 1 target. He's obviously, is he 2 million more than Bowen? So he's a little bit more tricky to get to. I can do it, like I said, for a -4, which would be Alvarez to Archer, Leno to Kelleher, and then Diaby to Son is pretty much borderline the exact money, maybe 0.1 or 0.2 spare. And just to clarify, I don't want to. The reason why I'm talking about, I was happy just to keep Leno for keep my keepers for the foreseeable. It's not about using a transfer on my goalkeepers. It's seeing where I can free up money. And if Alisson's going to be out, a 3.9 Liverpool goalkeeper feels like a bit of a gift. Whereas, freeing up Cash has been frustrating. I get that, but are the replacements that much better? The cheap ones like the likes of Lascelles or Maguire. So yeah, I feel like maybe keeping the money tied up in my defenders is actually more beneficial. In 2 or 3 game weeks time, I can then replace Cash for someone more like for like price wise, rather than taking money out of the defense. So if I take my whereas I'm happy, I feel like I've actually got a little bit too much. It's not that much money tied up in my goalkeepers. Like Areola, I got him in when he was like 4.1 maybe, and I think I got Leno at 4.5, maybe 4.6. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people have got Areola/Turner, and I've actually got what I felt like was a cheap combination, actually a little bit more expensive than most, especially as Fulham aren't looking great defensively. So I would be happy to go down to 3.9 Kelleher and still, if when Liverpool do have a tough fixture, possibly bench him and play Areola. But I'd essentially have 2 cheap keepers. Once Alisson's back and Kelleher loses his place, then so be it. I'll just play Areola every week. The drawbacks of this move is, if I do it, is it ties up a Liverpool slot. I've already got Salah and Tsimikas, so if I wanted Darwin or Trent at any point, it would be very difficult to do that. So I'd have to commit to not owning those players for the next 6, 7 game weeks, which could end up being a mistake. If let's say the Trent of old really does return, then yeah, he could be someone that we want rather than being tied up in a 3.9 keeper. So yeah, there's a lot of thoughts and considerations into that one. But I do like the fact that it takes money out of the goalkeepers. I do like the fact that you get a super cheap Liverpool keeper, and yeah, that's about the best way for me to get to Son. The other dilemma I've got is, do I do it this week with DRB away at Bournemouth? DRB a bit of a rotation risk, whereas, or sorry, not rotation risk, more of a minutes risk, I'd say.
I'd say it's definitely a rotation risk as well, to be fair. Bailey's been good coming on. I wouldn't be surprised if he does start next game.
Yeah. Or I guess Bailey could maybe take Cash's place in right mid. So I guess Cash is a rotation risk. So yeah, those two aren't assets that I'm back keen on in my team. It's just, do I do, this move I'm lining up a -4 to remove a player DRB away at Bournemouth, which isn't a super easy fixture these days. Bournemouth are obviously a little bit more improved, to get in Son, who plays City away. I feel like Son can do well in that. I feel like a bit like what you said at the start of the video about feeling fortunate as a Watkins non-owner. I feel very fortunate. Things have gone against me, of course, but as a non-Son owner, I think he scored a goal just offside in that Chelsea game a few weeks ago, and then they obviously went down to 9 men. He scored a hat-trick of goals that got disallowed versus Villa. Either he was offside or someone in the build-up was. Now, obviously, you've got to be onside, and he potentially gained advantage by being offside, etc., etc. But he's coming close. He set up Kulusevski for a big chance. So I just feel
that one had to be an assist. I can't believe Kulusevski missed that. My mind's changed on that as well. At the start of the week, watching the game and just afterwards, I thought, yeah, he's had loads of chances, but I was kind of going against what people were saying, and that he was unlucky, because I was like you. I was saying he's offside, therefore Villa are the best team in Europe for catching the opposition offside. That is the game they play. But I've kind of come around to the fact that there is a bit of luck in that. We saw with the Udogie chance, where it's a second man run and he gets in, and he's clearly onside there. So you can beat a high line, and I think Son, well, not him necessarily as you said, but other runners who were very, very close to being onside could easily have been on any other day. It is what Villa do, but yeah, he could have hauled in that game, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly that. And I just feel like there was a lot of narrative about, and again, I bought into it a little bit, or thought it in my own head, that Maddison being the most creative player in that team is bad. Him being injured is bad for Son, which it is. But Spurs have proven to me that against a good Villa side, that they can still create chances. Even with 9 men against Chelsea, Son had a decent-ish chance late on and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like City can see silly goals sometimes. I feel like Tottenham can score against them, and I feel like Son will. But there's still a part of me that thinks a -4 to bring in someone against City, who I'd almost be relying on because my other moves to, Alvarez down to Archer, he won't play. Bringing in Kelleher might play. I would probably play him, to be fair, in the fixture. But really, I'm doing the -4 to achieve Son. If I do it this week, all those 3 transfers I've mentioned. So yeah, I either get Son this week for -4, or I play DRB for 1 more week against Bournemouth, and then I do the switch for free. It's whether I feel like getting in Son for DRB this week is worth it, which I'm still a little bit up in the air about.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just, if you know 100% that you're going to make that transfer eventually, then it might be worth doing it this week. Obviously, you lose the 4 points, but it does free up another transfer for next week, because you don't want to tie yourself into a transfer for the coming week. Yeah. And if you want to do anything else, then you're going to have to do a -4 anyway. So if you're set on that move for the the long term, and you said that you feel like you've been fortunate not owning Son and you really want him in. It's interesting that, because a lot of people are getting rid of him. He had a price fall on last night, so it's one of those that we know how close he has been to a haul, and he has been unlucky last 3 game weeks. And is that really going to continue? I think that's not going to. So that's why you're looking to bring him in.
I think another point with Son, and a general point, is if everyone looks at the game week 14, 15, and 16 schedule. I tweeted this from my account a couple of days ago. The fixtures are coming thick and fast now. Midweek so we're recording this on a Wednesday. A week today, 6 days away on Tuesday. Game week 15 will start. So yeah, game week 14, 15, and 16 are really close together. There's fixture. There's weekend fixture, midweek, and then weekend again. Someone like a Diaby in that time frame is going to have reduced minutes with Tielemans coming off the bench and doing well, along with you mentioned him earlier, Bailey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like there's rotation so there. Whereas with Son, they're not in any other competitions really. Whereas Villa are. Son's going to play every game. There's no one else to really play. So, and he's a very sturdy player anyway in that regard. So, getting on those players who are more guaranteed for 90 week in, week out, this would be a good step in doing that. So yeah, I would be relatively happy with that. I guess the other problem I've got with doing it this week is actually Alvarez. I was fairly set on happy to lose Alvarez at the beginning of this week.
It's a nice fixture.
Yeah, it's a nice fixture with Spurs' injury problems. It's City, they score loads of goals. Alvarez came off the bench last night against City. For City, scored a goal, played really well. They was 2-0 down when he came on, and he ends up getting the winner. So it's the ideal for your FPL asset in terms of confidence scoring a goal. But also he didn't play 90 minutes. He only played 35 or whatever it was. So he got a semi-rest, which means he's going to start this weekend. Yeah. So yeah, taking the other thing I could do is actually bench DRB, play 3-4-3, play Alvarez, maybe just do the goalkeeper move this week so I don't burn the transfer, and then 2 frees next week.
Yeah, see, I like that. I like
Alvarez and DRB out. But like you said, it does then tie me into those transfers, but yeah, does save the points. I really don't want to go without Son any longer. I guess maybe it's a mindset thing with me being without Son. I really want him because I'm watching him get all these chances and get 100%. Unlucky. Whereas if you have Son, you're almost annoyed that you've had to endure 3 blanks and you feel like that bad luck will almost continue. So yeah, it must be a mindset thing. But I'm delighted that him and like I said, Bowen is a player that I might target if I decide against the -4 as well, because his fixtures are decent. They've both got 8 goals and 1 assist this year as well as Bowen and Son, which is a weird coincidence. But yeah, we don't know about Bowen's injury, obviously. So yeah, but just to finish this point, I was just delighted that they both fell in price overnight.
Yeah, especially when you're looking to bring them in, it's always good. Yeah. Just going against the grain, but it's nice. Yeah, I don't know with that one. I don't know, because I do think Alvarez has been poor in an FPL sense over the last few games. I think he's got something like only 1 big chance in the last 5 or 6 game weeks. I will check that on using the Fantasy Football Hub stats in a second. But yeah, I know it's one of those where he's not been performing, but could this be the week? I'm not sure. I do want to just mention on Kelleher though, like at this point in time, we really don't know what's going on with the Alisson injury. It's this kind of little rumors and leaks, and we don't know if he's the results of the scan yet. We're getting it from unreliable sources. I did just see though, before we started recording, from a pretty reliable source, a kind of in the know account, that it looks, well, from their opinion, as though Alisson's injury may not be as serious as everyone thought. So it might not be 5 weeks. It might, but he's saying that he thinks that they're going to try and get him back for the United game, which I think is in 3 or 4 game weeks time. It would mean that
that's right.
Kelleher would still have Fulham, Sheffield United away, then Palace away. Yeah. Very good fixtures, and it's not a transfer that has a load of downside or kind of repercussions because of him just coming in as your second keeper. But it may not be as good as we thought. Although the fixtures would have been United and then Arsenal at home anyway, so it's not ideal for a keeper. It is those next 3 that you'd want to be targeting and then playing him in, really.
You would, but ideally, that information is handy because it is all about the longer, in terms of this transfer in. I'm not wishing injury on someone, but if you are targeting someone like Kelleher, the longer the injury to Alisson, the better. So that would have to be taken into consideration. If he is only going to get the 3 weeks, is it worth it? Like I said earlier, for me, it is about freeing up the money from the goalkeeper positions rather than the defensive positions. But if it is only 3 game weeks, maybe it does make sense for me to lose money from a cash to a Maguire, who is still a decent enough replacement. But either one of those is fine. I think, like you said, if you're going to get a few good game weeks out of Kelleher, and if you are a manager that's happy to use, transfers, maybe you just, bin Kelleher off after a while. I don't want to do that because I don't want to be using a transfer now on a keeper, and then in 3 or 4 game weeks time, I would probably just let him rot on my bench if that was the case. But some people play FPL differently. They take a lot of hits. They move things around a lot. If you're that type of manager that plays a bit more short term, then that short-term gain from those 3 fixtures could be good, whilst you're also freeing up the money for if you don't need to free up the money, if your target in is a cheap midfielder like a Gordon or a Palmer, then you don't need to worry about freeing up money. But for me, I'm in desperate need of cash to, I should say money rather than being confusing with Matty Cash.
Yeah.
I'm in desperate need of money for Son. So it does seem like a decent enough route for me. If I had Turner, if I was transferring out Turner, it doesn't really free up much cash. But yeah, Leno to
of course,
Keller does free up about
yeah.
0.7 ish, I think, for me. So it's
yeah,
not
you're saving a lot there, aren't you?
Saving. Yeah.
Yeah, it does make sense. And yeah, do you really want that much money invested in keepers? As you say, Areola was 4 million for you, but now that he is playable, you don't necessarily need to have 2 keepers there in the short term. Let's go a little bit more long term though. Something that you wanted to talk about was future game weeks. I want to first of all ask you about game week 18, which is the blank, and just your thoughts on what your team's going to look like then. We can jump to it right now, whether you might think about playing the free hit or just how much kind of thought you've given to that week, and then we'll come on to a future game week after that no one's really mentioning right now, which you wanted to speak about. But for now, just your thoughts on game week 18 and maybe the merits of the free hit chip.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't want to rule it out completely, because there will be examples where it would be a good scenario. But for my personal team and scenario as of right now, I will rule it out because looking ahead, I've got the 2 City. I've got Mbomo, Haaland, and Alvarez missing that fixture. Alvarez, I'm surely I'd have got rid of him by then, at least. So looking ahead, it will probably only be Mbomo and Haaland I have that week. And in that week, I'll bench Haaland because I won't want to be, chopping him in and out. And then with Mbomo, maybe there'll be a better option, especially because once we get to game week 18, we'll have to be thinking about AFCON in game week 21. So Mbomo misses game week 18, then he'll play 19 and 20, but then he'll be off for the African Cup of Nations. So at that point, a transfer out for Mbomo will probably be most likely for my team anyway.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I only have the 1 blank Haaland. My bench is semi-decent at the minute. And even if I get the likes of Archer, would I be happy to play him? Probably. Or, defensively, I've got, as long as Cash becomes a decent enough option again, who he will have Sheffield United that week, I can maybe play 4 at the back and bench Haaland or whatever I decide to do. So I will have enough to get through that week. And even if I don't, a -4 to get through that week will be better than using the free hit. And just speaking more generally for people who haven't got, obviously, my team, again, I don't think that will be the best week to use a free hit. There'll be more blanks and doubles and stuff like that in the future. And realistically, not many people have City defenders really, or midfielders. So it's probably only Haaland and Mbomo for a lot of teams, maybe the odd Pinnock here and there. But if you're clever with your transfers in between now and then, you should be able to get it down to just sort of 1 or 2 players from that team and be able to get out a decent enough team with just a -4. So I don't advise using the chip in that week if you can help it.
Maybe it sounds a bit weird to the viewers that we're speaking about this now, given that it is in 4 game weeks time, but we have to remember that it's in like 3 weeks. Like these games come so thick and fast over December. As you mentioned, that the turnaround time from this game to the next is literally a day. So it is so worth thinking about. And 100%. Then the final thing I want to ask you about in terms of looking to the future, you've already mentioned it a couple of times, AFCON and the Asian Cup coming up after Christmas. What are you thinking there? It's obviously been on your mind. You wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, 100%. So again, that I've been eyeing up again for an Alvarez replacement. I wanted to get Semenyo because I feel like Semenyo is actually a better asset than Archer. They're both 4.6 million now. So in terms of price, when you're analysing who to bring in, it's the same. But I prefer Semenyo as an asset. I even looked at the stats on the hub comparison graph, and Semenyo is way bigger per 90-minute stats for. Which essentially means he's got better expected goals, expected points, all that sort of thing. But I think I'm probably going to go Archer with the long-term view of I'm not going to need either Archer or Semenyo when I bring them in the short term. But when I might actually need them is during AFCON if I do want to bench, say, Salah or Mbomo or whoever for that time period, Son, who will be off from game week 21 onwards till maybe game week 24 if their teams reach the final and stuff like that. But definitely game week 21 and probably game week 22. Okay. So do we want to transfer out the likes of Salah? Maybe given his price, but I would like that flexibility where I can look at my team and think, right, I don't need to take a crazy big transfer hit to get a team out in game week 21. I can actually just play Archer, who I think has a decent fixture as well. Whereas with Semenyo, he's possibly going away to AFCON as well. So it would be an extra player going away for that time period. So they're quite close in terms of what they offer. I do prefer Semenyo, but I will probably go Archer purely because of AFCON. And yeah, I think we do have to consider it for other players now in the future. So like I said, I'm still targeting Son, even though he's going to be going away in that time period. And I probably will still get him either this week or next, but I will have a plan to get rid of them, or I will have a plan for Game Week 21 coming up. And because I'm getting Son, I won't also get someone like, say, Hwang from Wolves who will go away, or like I've already mentioned with Semenyo, I already have Salah, I already have Mbomo. Going to potentially be bringing in Son. There's 3 big players in my team that will be going away to AFCON. I don't want a bench player going away. I don't want one of my cheap defenders to be going away, or goalkeeper or whatever. So that will be my only. I won't then load up on any more players who will be going away in that time period once I've got Son.
Yeah, that sounds good. And yeah, again, as I said, the game has come so thick and fast that we really do need to be thinking about these sort of things, even though it is a long way away in terms of game weeks, like 24, whatever, 2020, 21, 22. It's a long way away, but yeah, that's when AFCON's happening, Asian Cup, and then we might have doubles in 24. Like, you do need to think about these things. A long way in the future, but you do need to think about these things. Now I want to come on to your AI recommended transfers, which are very pertinent to you because you're not entirely set on what you're doing this week. And this, as always, is Fantasy Football Hub's AI recommended transfers based purely on data, which is great because you get an unbiased opinion on what your transfers should be for any particular game week, direct to your team. These are the recommended transfers. And guys, if you want your own, link down below. As I've said in all the videos this week, Black Friday deal, 30% off, 30-day free trial. This is the best time for the rest of the entire season to sign up to the site and get your own AI recommended transfers, as well as everything else that we've seen in the video, all the stats, all the predicted points, etc. Here we go then, Wes. Diaby to Gordon is the first transfer. The second transfer is same to use too, is Alvarez to Darwin, a player that we've not really spoken about, but we do know the next 3 fixtures for Liverpool are very, very good on paper, at least. We've mentioned that with Kelleher. What do you think about those moves? Quite different to what you're thinking.
Yeah, two players we haven't spoken about, but absolutely viable moves. Both players I like. I even I quote retweeted my own. I tweeted about Gordon pre-season, so I've been bringing that back up just to because people were in my comments saying that it was a terrible shout.
Oh really?
So I started replying to some people saying, just having a bit of a laugh about it. But yeah, Gordon, great option. In fact, amazing option. The worry with Gordon, it's only a slight worry, is just with Newcastle in so many big games in Europe and stuff like that. That has put me off Gordon so far. But I guess I've been wrong to be put off because he's done so well. And it's just more of a case of just wanting Son. And if I want Son for Diaby, it means that financially, Darwin's out the question. And in terms of a midfield slot, again, Gordon's out the question because of just I've got a solid 5-man midfield. So yeah, I absolutely like those moves. It means I don't think the algorithm would ever suggest to do what I'm suggesting because it's 3 transfers rather than the 2, which is why if someone like Bowen was fit as well, maybe the algorithm would be on him as well. So yeah, I completely get those moves. They make a lot of sense. I've liked the first sort of 8-9 games of the season. I was a bit anti-Darwin, but now I'm more in the camp of actually he's gone from a rotation player for Liverpool to maybe more of the main man. But with the games coming thick and fast, there will be some rotation there. So if you're getting Darwin, fine, but just don't moan if he gets.
Oh, I'll be moaning. Don't you worry about that. He's in my team, and if he doesn't haul the next 3, I will be moaning. Trust me, these videos will be horrible to watch.
You can moan about hauls. You can moan about him blanking and stuff like that. But I think I don't think you're expecting 90 minutes.
I want
40, 15,
270
16
minutes minimum, ideally more. But yes, you're obviously right. He is a rotation risk, even though he's in the starting 11 Christmas period and they have good depth. He is a rotation risk, of course.
But yeah, in terms of on what he's actually offering, and again, a few game weeks ago, it was probably even better because the likes of is Jota injured again now, maybe as well?
I don't know. One of them always seems to pick up some sort of knock. I think Jota is currently is he flagged? I'm not entirely sure, but
So again, if you are targeting if you've got Darwin, obviously hold him is a great pick. If you're looking to bring him in potentially, then a Jota injury would be good news. But even still, there is Gakpo there is Luis Diaz, there is some there is some options there for Liverpool. But yeah, that's not me putting anyone off Darwin. I'm just saying that maybe after 65 minutes he gets subbed one game. Maybe he starts one of these games on the bench. But it's almost a case for absolutely any player. We've seen, even players that we think are absolutely nailed in the Premier League, like Salah, has occasionally started on the bench in Premier League games for Liverpool. So players can start on the bench. Saka has, got the occasional rest here and there, and that's just the point I'm trying to make. That any player can get rested in this time period, but I feel like Darwin's maybe a little bit more at risk than some other players. But he is so explosive, so many chances that he can do damage in less minutes. You want someone who can do damage. You don't want someone who plays 90 minutes week in, week out, but doesn't score any goals because it's just going to be 2-point or after 2-pointer. You want someone getting those. You'll just have to put up with some reduced minutes and hope that he gets returns when he's on the pitch.
One thing that I do want to show off actually, just on these AI recommended transfers quickly, is the new custom transfers feature. It's been out for a couple of weeks now, about a month, but I think it's great because you are saying that the AI is not going to recommend you take a hit, which on the whole it normally wouldn't. But if you know that you kind of fancy taking a hit this week, you're open to it, then what you can do is on this new custom transfers feature, plug in the number of transfers that you ideally want to make, and then you can ask for suggested transfers based on those number of transfers, which is what I've done for your team. Now, nice. Perhaps we will see that the moves might be more similar. And interestingly, the first move is Diaby out for Son, which is what you said the whole time.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You guys have seen this has been uncut. I've not done anything here. This is just what the tool is recommended. The moves following that are different, but Diaby to Son is the first move there. To fund that, again, we have another one of your moves that you wanted to do. It's Alvarez to Archer. So they've gone for Archer over Semenyo. The final move is different though. The final move isn't a defender, which is interesting.
Ooh.
It really likes one player that we've already mentioned.
Maybe is it Saka or Mbomo to Gordon? Maybe, I don't know.
This is a controversial one. It's Watkins out for Darwin.
Ah, okay, yeah.
You do need a bit of money to fund this, as you know.
Yeah.
Because that's quite a lot of money there. About 0.5, 0.6 really, with your selling price, perhaps even more actually, maybe like 0.7.
Yeah, so Watkins to Darwin would free up a bit, probably the same amount of money that I was speaking about with Leno to Kelleher. So yeah, that makes sense. And I guess it's recommending that with the likes of Watkins/Villa have City and Arsenal coming up soon, don't they? So that's going to be factored in. The two tough fixtures: Bournemouth away, then it's City and Arsenal. Both are at home, so it's tricky fixtures for those two going to Villa Park. But yeah, they're not ideal fixtures for Villa. Even in 4 game weeks time, they've got Brentford away, which you wouldn't describe as an easy fixture, would you? You'd describe it as
no way,
medium, I guess.
We saw how Arsenal struggled there, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the fixtures aren't great for Watkins in the short term, whereas for Darwin, the next 3, like we've already spoke about with Kelleher, it's the same set of fixtures, isn't it? The 3 fixtures for Darwin on paper are very good. So yeah, that move makes sense. I'm surprised it wasn't telling me to bin off cash, but
me too. But I think you do need the money, and I don't know if there's what this goes off of, as we know, is predicted points, and we don't know yet about Kelleher's minutes because we don't know for sure about Alisson's injury, and this doesn't go off rumor; it goes off stats and news.
Yeah.
So when Alisson is confirmed out, then of course that will bump Kelleher's predicted points up and expected minutes up, and therefore it may well be a Leno to Kelleher. But for now, this is the one way it's saying to kind of fund the RB to Son, which is the move that you want to make.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely good to hear that that robotic opinion, if you like.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to consider. I guess I'm just such a big fan of Watkins in terms of an FPL point of view. Since Emery's come in, he's become a lot more central, hasn't he? A lot more goal driven. Whereas before he was just a good all-round player who chipped in with goals. Now he's more of a single-minded goal. And again, against Spurs, he scored that goal. He was millimeters offside, wasn't he, for another good goal, a header from a cross. So great again, header. He was quite close to 5 points is quite disappointing, but he was quite close to actually a big haul in what is a tough fixture, Spurs away, even with their injuries. So I'm just very reluctant to Watkins almost feels like a lock in my team where I won't even. Again, this is possibly a mistake in terms of my FPL management, but like the likes of him, Salah, Saka, and Haaland are almost like they're locked in my team now, and even
I
Palmer
agree
and
with that.
Momo now. Certain players you just think, well, they're locked. So I don't want to be wasting transfers there. I kind of want to play Watkins regardless of the fixture based on the fact that I've got him at 8 mil or whatever. And he just feels like, yes, he'll blank in some games, but he will still return in some, over a course of any 5 game week period, he's going to return points. So I've personally ruled that out. But like I said, does the machine know more than me? Would the machine beat me in an FPL season? Probably this season, given that I'm still not inside the top 1 million. So yeah, it's absolutely viable and it could work out as a strategy. But it'd be interesting to run this later on in the week, like you said, once that Allison news is more concrete and they know that Allison is out for, let's say, 3 game weeks, might be suggesting that. And the reason it's probably not suggested Matty Cash out for me is maybe the replacements just aren't predicted to score well enough points wise. Because it would be the real bargain basement defender I'd have to bring in.
It is funny actually that you mention the AI doing well. We have a league obviously with those of us that are in or work for Fantasy Football Hub, and the AI team now, which is a team run fully by the AI, it started off slowly, but now it's up to third. And there are some very good managers in this league. I mean, let's just have a look. We've got Rich Clark, yourself, obviously, Holly Shand, Andrew Ferguson, Fergie. There are some big names in this league, and the AI team is up to third with a very, very good 60 points last week. Actually, the second best score in the entirety of this league. It's cooking, very clearly. Good. Look at this, the transfers as well. They make sense. So yeah, there we go. If you're not sure, then honestly, AI is the way to go. It just lets you know what is perhaps a sensible move to make. Last thing I want to ask you, Wes, before we end this video, is captaincy. It's a big one this week. I think it's the biggest toss-up that we've had so far this season between the two big boys. What are you thinking right now?
You know what? In weeks where I'm, say, saving a transfer or making easier transfer decisions, I maybe think about captaincy a bit more. And I suppose there's other weeks where, Haaland has Bournemouth at home or whatever, where you just don't even need to think about it. So I haven't given it enough thought this week because my head's just clogged up with my own transfer thoughts. But as of right now, I have thought about it a fair amount still. And I am actually on Haaland as of right now. Now, is that going to be the correct decision or not? I feel like with captaincy, I don't want to advise anyone onto Haaland or Salah or vice versa or whatever, because, who am I to say that? Would I be surprised if Salah scored a brace against Fulham? No. Would I be scored if Haaland scored a brace or better against Spurs? Again, no. So I feel like they both obviously have the potential to score really well. And I'm not trying to sit on the fence here, but it's just sort of being honest about it. They should both do well, thinking about it. But I am on Haaland purely for his greater goal threat. Salah has got the better assist threat. But both, what I've just said, going off the stats is true. And even if you just watch games, that's just fact. So yeah, I am on Haaland, but I feel like it is risky because of the midfielders getting more points for a goal. I said this the other week. They both scored 16 points. When Salah had Brentford at home, he got 16 points with a brace, no assists. Haaland, who was my captain away at Chelsea, got 16 points with a brace and an assist. I later categorised that as myself making a mistake, even though they both got the same amount of points. Because if it is a close call, you should maybe favour the midfielder. Because if they both score a brace, then the midfielder is going to score, and especially if it's a 2-0 win, Salah's going to get an extra 3 points on top of what Haaland gets. Yeah. 1 point for the goal, the extra, 2 points for the 2 goals or whatever, and then the clean sheet point potentially. So yeah, Salah only has to get, I say only, but yeah, if they both get a brace, Salah wins on FPL points. So that is a consideration. The fact he is a midfielder. But yeah, right now, I think I'm just such a Haaland fanboy in terms of how ruthless he is in all these competitions. You see in the Champions League, he's the fastest player to 40 goals or whatever he's on now, 40 goals in 35 games, I think I read. In the Premier League, it's the same sort of story, isn't it, in terms of breaking all these records, fastest 50 goals. I think he beat Andy Cole's record by like 16 games.
Yeah, by a mile. 48 games, just, I think it was. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal. I feel like he should have scored more against Liverpool. I feel like he should have, over this last 5 or 6 game week period, has done pretty well, but could have done better. Because against Liverpool, there was a header that sort of just went wide. There was another good chance at the front post. I feel like, he could have done a little bit better points wise. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a long answer. It's a bit of a on the fence answer. At the moment, I am on Haaland with more thought. Maybe I'll switch. Maybe Salah is the better choice, given that the fixture is a lot easier. But I feel like that Spurs game is almost better in a. Might sound silly as well, but because we know Ange's gonna his mantra is attack, attack, attack. I feel like there's chances there for Haaland rather than when, say, Haaland or Salah face a Sheffield United or whatever, they're going to just park the bus. That's not going to be the case for Spurs. So it's going to be, I feel like there's goals in that game for City, which is why I'm currently on Haaland. But yeah, there's a lot to consider there. And I'm not going to talk anyone in or out of either of those boys. But I don't think this is a week to go away from either of those two, in my opinion.
No, definitely not. No, I agree with everything you've just said there and more. I'm definitely set on Haaland. Just watching Watkins in the previous game where they kind of got battered really in the first half, but just that second half alone, with Betancourt now out, and we've talked about Emerson Royale and Davis being the centre backs, unless Ange completely changes his play style, which we know he's not going to do, I can't see anything less than City just battering them. I just think it's going to be minimum 3 goals, and I can't say the same for Salah. For Liverpool. I take your point about the midfielder scoring more points for fewer returns. Obviously, it's absolutely right. I just do think that Haaland is nailed on to be involved in at least a couple of goals. I can't see it any other way. Salah, I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, for me, I'm definitely going to go for Haaland.
Oh yeah, that's good to hear that you're more definite. I'm maybe I will after a little bit more thought, but yeah, I'm on Haaland right now. I'm less definite than you, but yeah, I agree with everything you just said, and it's possibly helped to convince me to keep it on Haaland.
Well, there we go. That is going to do it for this one. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed it. Once again, do go down, click the link in the description. Not only do you get access to everything that we've shown in this video, you'll also be able to see what Wes ends up doing come deadline with his transfers, which they're interesting, I will say. Like, I want to know what you're going to do. It's also, I really like the fact that the AI has kind of backed up your point. When you do set it on 3 transfers, it says that no, Son is the player that you need to be getting in, despite the price drop last night, and despite the fact that, of course, a lot of people are selling him and are worried about his 3 blanks in the last 3. It's kind of confirming that no, you know what you're seeing, and despite the fact that he has blanked, he's looked really threatening, and the fixtures are good. Even the City game, to be fair. As you said, you wouldn't be surprised if he scores in that one. But yeah, link down below, guys. 30% off and a 30-day free trial. This might actually be the last game week that we're running this. I'm not sure, but it might be. So yeah, be quick, get it done. Wes, thank you very much as always. Good luck next game week. Hopefully some more green arrows for both of us. And for you watching as well. We will see you with the next game week preview.